Disclaimer. The content presented in this show is intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions expressed are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of any individuals or organizations mentioned. Statements made about public figures or entities are based on publicly available information and are not intended to harm or defame any person or business. This show relies on fair use of social media posts, which are presented in good faith for the purpose of commentary and criticism. Viewers and listeners are advised to form their own opinions. From Bet Bash here at Circle Resort and Casino. It's Circle Back here on the Circles Off channel. It's part of the Hammer Bet Network and presented by Kalshi. If you guys don't know, this is the show where we cover the latest and greatest news from gambling Twitter. Sometimes we say things that some people may not like, but it's all in the good nature of content. Have a look up on the screen for the disclaimer that we play before and I read out before every single episode that takes place. Read it over. Make sure you completely understand the rules and regulations before we get going for today's episode. We have a really great lineup of topics. Some topics featured in the gambling world. Some topics that are also featured from Bet Bash itself. But let's introduce the people that are on the show for today. My name is Jacob Germania. I am the host of Circle Back. Also, I do other hosting duties with the Hammer. I'm a creator. I'm a producer behind the scenes as well. You can follow me on Twitter at Jacob_Germania. To my left here, we have America's #1 hater of PTO. It is Joey Knish. I would have made you favored against the field to be late to your own panel, but somebody else stole your thunder yesterday.
Yeah, you know what? I'm happy to see so many beautiful women in the room right now. It's just unbelievable to see. I never thought sports betting would get me so lucky with the women. So, but it is nice to have you back from your month-long trip to Europe that we somehow paid for. So congratulations on that.
10 days of PTO, 10 too many. You take a PTO day for this one?
No, I'm still working.
Okay. Well, to his left, we have the only person who gives some credibility to the panel. It is our resident one-time contest winner. It is Chris Dierkes at FluffNoLied on Twitter. You looking to make it 2 after this year's contest?
3. Venismo and Survivor.
Well, even if you do win 3, you're still 2 away from the magical 5 you need to be really respected in this space. On the very left, we have the CEO of the Hammer Betting Network. It is Rob Pizzola. Rob, I noticed that for this seminar, you were the only name actually listed. Were you afraid that if myself or Knish were on, nobody would actually show up to this?
No, we're actually afraid to list Knish because if you list him, then he actually has to show, and it's very unlikely. I'm actually surprised he's here, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I can't rely on anyone else here with the Hammer. That's why I was the only one listed, basically.
There were some internal discussions about the contingency plan if you didn't show up.
Wait, when have I never not showed to something I've committed to?
Well, I guess you always show up. It just depends on...
No, it's Bet Bash 2 years ago.
Yeah, and dinner last night.
Dinner last night. We had a seat nice and safe for you at the head of the table and never showed up. All right, let's jump into the topics for today. We got a serious one, surprisingly, to get us going for this one. We're talking about Ohio potentially moving to ban all-player prop wagering. That is at least a report that came out from Pro Football Talk. Ohio moves to ban all prop bets, and we have an article from Rob's boy, Mike Florio, who says the concern, as explained by Governor Mike DeWine, comes from the reality that prop bets relate to highly specific events within games that are completely controlled by one player. The harm to athletes and the integrity of the game is clear, and the benefits are not worth the harm, DeWine said. The prop betting experiment in this country has failed badly. But this has been treated, perhaps by people who are not as in tune with the sports betting space, this has been treated as all-player prop wagering. But as David Payne-Purdom points out here, that's tough to say, Ohio gambling regulators are drafting a rule to ban certain types of micro bets, including on MLB first pitches. The proposed ban would be on specific events within games that are completely controlled by one player, not all player props, according to sources familiar with the issue. Story to follow. Let's start with the CEO, of course. We'll go to Rob. What are your thoughts on this? Let's first of all discuss the logistics of potentially banning all player props, because right now in Ohio, you can't bet on any player props at all in the college space, but they potentially want to bring this to the pro space as well. How would you feel about that, Rob?
Yeah, well, I think it's ridiculous, right? Like, there's so many different types of props, and when I saw the David Payne-Purdom tweet, I completely understand where he's like, this is coming from with micro bets, right? Like, that's a gambling regulation where I actually get the logic, right? We've seen, will the first pitch be a ball or strike? And pitchers exposing that recently. And, when it's that controllable, I totally get it. But it's where do you draw the line, right? When you're starting to offer like live free throw props. Well, that's definitely controllable as well. But in a close game, does it matter? If the game's not close, does it matter? So I completely understand where this is all coming from. But now that we're conditioned as bettors to have this type of market, it does kind of feel like a step back when you start to take it away. And I know some people might say, well, you're like a degenerate if you're betting first pitch is going to be a strike. It's not really the point. It's just that now that these have been in the marketplace, we're kind of used to it. So it feels like a retraction from what the gambling offering is. Is it going to kill the industry? No, absolutely not. And I understand the logic in getting rid of them, but micro betting is one thing. Player props are completely different, right? Saying we can't bet on the passing yards in a football game anymore because like one player can control his own passing yards and influence that bet, that's borderline ridiculous. So I'm fine with certain types of micro bets being off the agenda going forwards or the list of bets, but I'd hopefully not want to see this go too far.
Well, Kirk's not here, so let me play the sportsbook shill for everybody. But I don't see how you, especially at the player prop level, you put the toothpaste back in the tube when most of these bets, I mean, not, the place, the wonderful circle we're having here, but most of these places now, the FanDuels, the DraftKings are so dependent on SGP hold that if you take away player props, I think you've taken away a lot of like the model that makes sports books work now, that makes them profitable, that makes a lot of people in this room able to, still, extract a little from those books. I think if you take away the SGP, which is the number one thing that your rec bettor wants, your casual bettor wants, I don't know how much of the overall model at the highest level, whether it be DraftKings, FanDuel, any of those, technically works anymore. I'd be fascinated to see what that does to overall like revenue volume in Ohio if this passes. The other thing is politically, I don't get I guess I like, you try and see a motive politically for what the push is here.
Yeah.
I don't really see
it's PR.
The angle on this.
It's PR. I mean, there's been so much bad PR lately about certain types of bet types that are again. This has come up recently because of I can't remember the Guardians closer or whatever.
Yeah.
Right, where there's very very clear that the first pitch was very regularly a ball and it was way outside the strike zone, and you can make off that. And I get that. I get removing that type of bet type, but it's just a PR thing, really. It's so many people who are looking around and be like, gambling bad for the industry. Look what's happening here. So I mean, that's really what it is. Yeah, you could say you're protecting the player from betting into a market that's fixed, but is this really, really hurting anyone regularly? The answer to that is no.
I think banning the microbets is really good because this is the one problem that regulation has caused. Microbets weren't a thing, or at least in my opinion or knowledge, on PPH and whatnot. This is one problem that regulation has actually had, and if they ban that, it could be a good thing for the industry, but they have to draw the line there and not go to player props, which would be very bad. And I agree with Knish here. SGP hold is everything. I think FanDuel has like 50% SGPs or parlays. So if they killed that, it could do devastation for the industry.
I don't think the micro bet thing is, maybe this is going to be extreme because, and I would say it's unbiased, but I'm not unbiased. I don't really like the fact that a handful of players in sports have gotten caught, trying to leverage. I don't really give a shit. It's not like they did anything I mean, if you want to call it that,
it creates a slippery slope.
I think you would care a little more if you bet on that market and then you knew it was fixed afterwards.
Not if I won the money. Not if I was on the fixed side. But
you're true. You know what? It's a 50-50 chance. You could be on the right side of the fix and not the wrong side.
I mean, do you think this has had a substantial negative impact in terms of like the quality of the game, or the meaning of the game, or the ethics of the game?
Say the first pitch, they throw a ball, that decreases the win probability. Even though it's a very small amount, it still decreases it some percentage. And you might think, it's not a big impact, but it's some impact. And then from there, it creates a slippery slope. What if they do it every inning, et cetera, et cetera? It could be big problems.
I think what we see with gambling legislation is if it's becoming talked about regularly, then regulators step in and we got to do something about this.
Yeah.
Not really understanding the space. And listen, at the end of the day, I really don't give a shit whether or not microbets go away. It doesn't affect me. You can make an argument that we've gone too far with what you're actually able to bet on, and I think that's a fair argument. So I'm totally fine with that. But if we're going to start cutting off like actual props that really are, yeah, they can be influenced, but for the 99.99999% of them are fair, then I don't like, what are we doing here?
Well, on the topic of athletes actually affecting the outcome of their individual player props, maybe not specific to that, but we do have an example of a player involved within the NCAA potentially being involved in some wrongdoing as far as wagering is concerned. And it is John Mateer, who actually posted something denying the allegations against him regarding a Venmo, two Venmo transactions that took place, which referenced sports betting. One of them referenced a specific game in particular. This took place in late 2022 when he was a freshman for Washington State. So denied the allegations, but as pointed out here by Todd Furman, this story gets more and more absurd. To be honest, would have more respect for the guy if he said, yep, I bet a few bucks with my buddies on a CFB game where it had no direct impact on the outcome. I apologize. NCAA then says that's wrong and moves on with some minor discipline. But the NCAA does have rules in place for this, and I believe the first strike would be a year off of college football. But the important thing to note is it's not just an NCAA ban for betting. If you are an NCAA athlete, you cannot bet on any sport that is at all affiliated with NCAA. So for football, you cannot bet on NCAA football. You cannot bet on NFL. You cannot bet on CFL, XFL, anything to do with that. So let's go to our expert here for college football, Joey Knish. Are you on the side of leniency with Todd Furman, or do you think something needs to happen here? It is just Venmo transactions, which he says were made as inside jokes between friends. How do you treat the situation?
Well, I know when I exchange Venmos with people here, I usually like to, as an inside joke, put illegal sports betting in the Venmo handle to then, to make it seem like when we're getting coffee. So do I believe his statement? No. At the same time, do I think, as you mentioned, the rules against this are so extreme that it's like, if he almost can't admit to it. He can't just go out and say like, oh, I was with some buddies who bet $20 on the USC game, because then they can drop the hammer on him and be like, boom, then he's out for the season. He's probably getting, a couple million in NIL from Oklahoma. That's in jeopardy. Any shot he has to go to the pro level, have this season is gone. To me, I think he's in this ridiculous spot where it was probably a few bucks with some buddies. He's a complete moron. He puts it in the Venmo handle, and now he's like up against it where he basically has to deny it and just say, yeah, it was a joke. Because if he admits it even at the lowest level, the NCAA, to feel like they're doing something, can come down and like ban him, and then boom, he's out for the year.
So he's supposed to be the starting quarterback for Oklahoma this year. That's correct. So at the time, he was the backup for Washington State. And again, he was a freshman. But the process to even get NCAA eligibility is very extensive in the amount of, not quite paperwork, but the amount of things you have to read and go over, especially in sports betting, and in regards to like being an amateur who has never been ever paid to play your sport. So he would have known, especially as a freshman, obviously, that he could not participate in anything like this. But it leads to, yes, a tricky situation where he cannot even give the NCAA an inch on this one. Flup, we'll go to you next. How do you treat this situation?
Call me naive, but I think he is joking here. I mean, I'm not the only person. I'm the only person here not knocking on the door of 40, and that's something me and my friends would do. Like, we would joke about like what is actually for.
How old do you think Jacob is?
Well, he's I'm your age.
I was referring to not producers here. So I believe he's a joke, and I don't think he should be punished for something he didn't do. And it's hard to prove that he actually did do it. If it comes out with solid proof, then sure. But like, has no one really not written a joke in text like, hey, I sent this Venmo for like drugs or whatever? I mean,
yeah, but like, even if it's a joke, the optics are horrendous, right? It's like you don't walk through like airport security yelling, I've got a bomb. It's like the exact same equipment. Like, it's the dumbest joke imaginable for an NCAA athlete. And
to put a specific game
that actually happened right during the time of
USC versus UCLA or something like. That doesn't seem like a joke. Like,
no,
when
it
you
doesn't.
really
I didn't
look
know
at
I sit next to John Mateer's lawyer over here.
Yeah.
It could be.
But who is that dumb to make it that public?
I mean, there's a lot of dumb
19-year-old
people
freshman
like that.
quarterback.
Yeah.
Who's got a scholarship, who's been just untouchable his entire life because he's really good at football. Like, that's the sort of person who, I I could see this absolutely being the
Why
case.
is there no more proof though? Like, why hasn't his friend come out? I mean, the friend can maybe get some money to a reporter, like, "Yep, I did take the bet, et cetera, et cetera."
Well,
why
listen,
is that not
maybe
happened?
maybe you wouldn't be such a true friend, and you would go look for a paycheck, but other friends out there are looking to stick up for their friend. Well, we'll monitor how that situation does fall. We'll talk a little bit more about specific athletes and gambling related to their own sport after we get into this segment here on the New Heights podcast, which is just making waves all around the world, not just in the sports betting space. But we have a market up on Kalshi here regarding how many views the Taylor Swift episode on New Heights will have on YouTube. When I looked this morning, it was already surpassed 10 million. The forecast here is 26.4, 84% chance of reaching 20 million. I think I saw a line for the views in this one set around 800,000 views, which may be one of the worst lines set of all time, as pointed out by Kirk, who would be good here because he is a big Taylor Swift fan. But let's go to Rob on this one. How do you feel about these sorts of markets taking place, and any opinions on something like this?
Well, I love being able to bet any market imaginable. People might wonder why I have my laptop. I've actually been running like some decay rates on the YouTube views right now just to see roughly what this market is set at.
That's what I usually like to do in my free time as well. Is
Love it.
run
Well,
decay
well,
rates.
you're not. I'm actually originating here, Knish. I'm not moving other people's bets.
If
for
you
a
call
living.
ChatGPT origination, I don't know what to tell you.
No, like it's just expediting. I'm providing the logic myself,
enough.
right?
Okay.
It's like here we go. No, I don't even really care about the market as much as I care about the obsession that people have with the entire Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce thing. Like, to me, I don't want it to dominate my timeline. I realize we're talking about it right now, but there's so many people who are victory lapping today that it didn't do as many views as like a few Joe Rogan podcasts in like the first 12 hours and 24 hours. It's actually an insane era that we live in now, where we're talking about how many views a podcast will have and the ability to bet on it. But I am going to fire into this market because I actually don't think this pot will do at least 30 million in the first week here.
What's it at now?
It was 10 million when I pulled this up. It was over
It's
10 million.
11.5 or so right now.
Does this not have insane market manipulation? You can
That's
just
the
buy
real.
YouTube
This is the real
like-
problem here with this market. Is actually, that's a great point. No might not be a good bet because anyone who bets the yes can easily buy a ton of views for really cheap. As I've learned in the YouTube business as well. Not saying I have before, but I definitely looked into it.
The hammer, we would never
We
do
would
that,
never
by the
do
way.
I know some people who could hook us up, though. I know some people who have experience with that field. What do you think on this one, Knish?
I mean, between us friends here, I mean, I'm gonna give it a quick view, not for anything. Hey, listen, it's. Am I the biggest Taylor Swift fan? Am I the biggest fan? No, but it's so like it's one of those things that, especially Joey Corporate at the water cooler, people are talking about. It's like I gotta give it 5 minutes or 10 minutes just to see like what all the rage is about. But I'll once Rob's done with his decrepit analysis, we'll see if I got a market here to bet into for him.
I'm glad you bring up water cooler talk. I'm just thinking like I can't even imagine you chilling by the water cooler with some coworkers, just existing as a normal human being in society.
Hey, Joey Corporate, babe, you missed out. Maybe we'll get you. Now, the only thing is we don't offer 12 weeks of PTO at this, but you actually have to show up to work, so that'd be a little different. But I love Kalshi offering this stuff, and stand with them on many a topic that's going on right now, no matter what it is. So really appreciate Kalshi, and it's awesome they offer this. And some people though, as you know, Jacob, they're a sponsor, don't read the house rules, as we talked about on previous
That is
episodes.
not true.
But
Some people get screwed by the house
I'm not talking about
rules.
anything specific. I'm just saying, in certain scenarios that great to have Kalshi on as a sponsor and stand with them no matter what.
If you do want to sign up to Kalshi and support the show at the same time and bet into markets like this with a pretty fair amount of liquidity, you can sign up with the QR code that is on screen right now. I'll leave it up for a few seconds, but you can always go to the links on the show after the fact as well. Or if you're watching on YouTube or in podcast or listening to podcast form, you can go to the links that are in the description. But let's get into our next topic. I told you we would circle back to this topic here. We have this quote coming from Michael Porter Jr., and he talks about the influence that athletes can have on their very own betting markets. He says, think about it. This is by Michael Porter Jr., now Brooklyn Nets player, former Denver Nuggets player, NBA champion. Think about it. If you can get all your homies rich by telling, yo, bet 10K on my under, this one game, I'm actually, I got an injury, and they get a little bag. Some people come from nothing, and they think like that. Some people think like that, like Michael Porter Jr.'s brother, Jonte Porter, who is permanently banned from the NBA for doing exactly that. So perhaps a little bit of experience within the family. But just on this topic here, I mean, Michael Porter Jr. is a player who makes well over $30 million per season. At the time, Jonte Porter was making $400,000, I believe it was, and had an opportunity to get a guaranteed contract the next year with the Toronto Raptors or another team. But there's players who are really fighting for their livelihood, especially players coming out of the G League on 10-day contracts, even at the level of the NBA, who could feel as though like this is a good way to go about it. It helps out their friends. It doesn't really influence the game perhaps a ton to have a player like that not super invested within the game. So let's go to you, Flup, first of all, on this one here. Just your thoughts on these markets and players influencing it. Is it really something that should be worried about?
I just can't believe he said this out loud. Like, this is something you think, but you don't actually say out loud. It's pretty sad that this is true and it happened in the family. You got to keep this quiet, and it can be a problem moving on. And this is why I think we need to be paying refs a lot because they can influence games, and why we should have an emphasis on paying players as much as they can get, because it would kind of stifle this, in my opinion.
Yeah. This is like the nightmare scenario that regulators are always talking about. Like when they point to like the integrity of sports, when you actually have an athlete out there saying, this is happening and I know it's happening. Agree with Flup, like, should never say this out loud. Obviously, there's a little bit of a difference here because his brother's involved in the situation. And there's a really lengthy interview where he's talking about a lot of stuff that has to do that. But like, this is a reality check for sports betting. This is why we're going to continuously have the conversation about certain markets going away and the crackdowns on certain types of bets, because now actual athletes are coming out and saying these things. It's not like they're only getting caught. Literally saying that this is taking place across the league and players are willing to do this, and like, that's a serious concern.
And this is saying the quiet part out loud, but if I think back to, if I'm 18, 19, and, one of my, boys, not that anybody I knew was going to the NBA, but like, somebody made it in some type of sports leagues in your really close friend circle, it would be really hard not to, at the barbecue, especially these guys grow up and a lot of their friends and stuff in urban neighborhoods, and to then if somebody, breaches to something that, wants a couple of dimes, you're like, an easy way to make your buddies a few dimes that you don't think is ever going to be an issue. Like, it seems like it's just one of those things that probably could happen rather easily.
You're saying if you had a friend that had influence, you'd be willing to disrupt their entire career so that you can get a couple $1,000 bet down.
Yes, that is exactly what if I wasn't making that clear, that yes.
Like Eric Eager was with us for Forward Progress. I would
he
never
didn't give me any
him.
draft info.
I know, and he shouldn't.
Yeah, right.
But you shouldn't even ask him for it.
All right. No, well, yeah. Apparently we weren't as close as I thought.
Some panel members here have a history of asking for inside information.
Oh,
that's
true.
That's a low blow.
Perhaps I'm the only real true friend who wouldn't want to put somebody in that position here.
Well, inside information is one thing. It is. And we would all, I think most people in this room, if they had access to some sort of inside information and they could profit off it, they would. But putting like a friend in a bad position
of course.
to get that information is completely different.
But Flup would go out of their way to get a quick buck if their friend who's in the NCAA was betting on sports.
I never said I would do that. I'm saying like, someone else might.
Someone else might. Okay. Someone else may go out of their way and do such a thing. Well, let's get into our next topic here. On the topic of conferences and things like Bet Bash, this was not the only conference that took place in Vegas in the month of August here. We also had the boot camp that took place with Steve Fezzik and people like Kevin O'Neill. And a video came out, a 6.5-minute video came out on Twitter, and he talked about the possibility of these sorts of conferences being breeding ground for people who scam in this space. And he said at the Vegas boot camp that Fezzik and I did, I plan to warn on the scams that can easily be run at a conference or a similar gathering of bettors. Now, what's good is that he posted this about a week after the boot camp took place. He says, Bill Crackman handled the issue so authoritatively there was no need. Head on a swivel, trust needs to be earned. There were a few people that disagreed with this, including one of our very own, Kirk Evans, who's not able to attend this Bet Bash this year. But he says, I think what Kevin is saying makes sense. but it's actually entirely opposite of my experience. I typically enter things quite fast and trust people generally, and that has been hugely beneficial. Of course, it's not blanket advice for everyone, but it is my experience. We have Louis L. Master 99 has said, if you can be decisive and walk away from bad relationships quickly, then trusting early and often far outweighs the opportunity cost of leaving partnerships on the table. Moneybag Yo at Get to the Window says, knowing when to walk away is the most important lesson I've learned in betting. Saved me insane amounts of money and relationships. Well, there was a little bit of pushback, which I think is a little bit fair to at least give some form of a rebuttal from Kevin, who says, obviously, you have the experience of vetting people and have developed instincts that newbies may lack. My advice was geared more towards people new to managing those risks that don't have the perspective you've earned. Guess I could have been more overt about that. So, Flup, you've talked a lot about it on the show previously, where you take those risks because it's plus EV to take those risks. So, how do you feel about this situation and the conversation going on?
I agree with Kirk here. You got to be very aggressive, and I typically go into new partnerships thinking that we're both going to make money, we're both going to be trustworthy. I have been burned by some PPHs before, and you have been scammed before. But in my opinion, if you're not getting scammed, you're not taking risks, you're not doing a good job of scaling. You need to be aggressive with this, and it's good to be cautious for big amounts, but for new partnerships where it's a little amount, it can lead to very profitable if you enter it quickly.
Yeah. Listen, there's a lot of shady things in the sports betting space, right? We got someone front row who's selling picks on Western Union this year as well, you know. Sorry, Jordan. There's a lot of shady things in the sports betting space. And we all know that. Everyone's been around that. Like that's just candidly, there'll be people that are at this conference that are probably in some capacity looking to scam. It's happened before. People give out accounts, they walk away with the money, you never hear from them again. But what Kevin is talking about here, it's good in theory, but it's not practical because we operate in a competitive environment, right? So like Flup said, there's some element of risk-taking in sports betting, right? If some partner reaches out to you and says, I got a bunch of great accounts, you can ask some questions. You can never know truly one way or another whether that person is going to be helpful or not, or be true to their word. You can ask around for other people, but you give up that opportunity, it's going to someone else in the space. And it's kind of dog eat dog. So I understand what he's saying. Be guarded a little bit. But I would also say to people that, yeah, you do have to take risks sometimes and just understand what comes with the territory. So I think theory and like what is practical often, are not the same in the sports betting space.
You guys touched on the risk part. I'm going to go back to the boot camp.
Joey, where would you rather be right now?
This is like if I was running one of those like real estate get rich quick schemes, and then I came out a week after I had one where everybody came there and was like, you know what you should watch out for? Those real estate get-rich-quick schemes. They can be really troublesome if you go to one of those. Listen, Fez, God love him. I wish I would have been able to meet him here, but I can't believe that the people involved with this boot camp were then broadcasting a message of you've got to watch out for scammers at conferences. I'll leave it at that.
Well, there's definitely there's an element of being a hater involved, and not with you.
I'm 100% being a hater about the boot camp. But just to be clear,
no,
I'm on the side of that. I want to be on the hater side of that boot camp.
Yeah, but it's like this little faction that's broken away in this Fezzik boot camp where it's like, oh, these people don't respect us or whatever. So it's like it's almost trying to get back at the rest of the people in the space. Like, this is an indirect shot at Spanky, really is what it is.
I would agree.
It's like he's putting on a conference. You don't know what you're going to get there. Trust us instead. This is a really tight-knit community in this boot camp we're running. So, anyways.
Well, yeah. I just want to say, GRP, you took down Chernoff. You need to take down Fezzik.
Well, he's taken down himself. He's down 70 units all year. It's actually documented. No one needs to take 74 as of today. Well, 74 units down plus 40 units pending in futures. I don't know. Do the math. I don't know how you have 114% of your bankroll in play. But yeah, that's what's going on.
He's going to be waiting for you guys outside of this. There might be an agent in here sending some messages of what's going on.
I'm very disappointed that some people who work for the network, Jason in the front row, didn't actually attend this camp to get us the real. I haven't seen any actual Was there people I need one person to give me a full, I need a 30 for 30 on who went to this and how was it? How did they even get people to show up?
I don't know. Don't ask me.
Was there anybody there?
I saw videos. There were a few people there. At least.
There was some footage. There's a little bit of footage that was circulating as well. Fez got into Jason's face yesterday. You weren't around yet.
No, I know. I would have.
What do you call it? He called you Pizzola's puppet, right?
Yeah.
Where at?
Down where the garage mahal is.
Really?
Yeah.
In the public part of town,
Yeah, right. Yeah, he did.
No journalistic integrity.
No journalistic integrity for producer for the Hammer. Down by the garage mahal, you said it was, Jason. I'd like to get just what you guys think of this. So Jason, we have not been very kind to Fezzik on this network. Jason walked up to Fezzik with a big smile, wanting to shake his hand and introduce himself. Now, as much as I don't think Fezzik responded as best as he could have in that situation, I also feel as though maybe Jason shouldn't have put himself in that position. I'm just curious to get the sentiment on that.
Well, I will say, like, from the inverse perspective here, like, Elf did the exact same thing to me. Like, he walked up, and he did it to you.
And to me.
Came up to, like, try to be, like, buddy-buddy with you. Like, nothing happened.
And Omar to myself.
Yeah, I understand Fez's reaction, I will say, even if Jason was going up in good faith to introduce himself. Talk about a guy enough, they're going to want to punch your face in, right? This is the reality.
Well, maybe punch his face in next year, Benson. You're going to set up some fights for Circa next year at Bet Bash, right?
His legal
Live
team's
at
already
Circa,
on
Benson.
it. Right.
Live at
There was
Circa.
one on Monday, wasn't there? I heard. All right. Before we get into any trouble, let's get to the next topic. And once again, on the topic of Bet Bash, a seminar heard around the world, not this one, but it was of the man sitting in the front row right here. GRP wins. Yep. Give him some applause. Come on. It was an amazing seminar. Worked very hard to set it up. Him and Matt Zilbert. I got to know, where did you find that size of a notebook? Did it make it in the suitcase or you bought it here?
I literally woke up at 7 in the morning, went to breakfast in a bad side of town on the east side. And I literally just went to an office, because there was an office supply store a mile away. Went to the office supply store. Never bought it's about a 2 by 2 feet. And I'm like, this is going to work out perfect.
You must have just lit up. It must have been the Pulp Fiction briefcase scene when you saw that notebook staring at you.
15 sheets, bought a couple line markers, and I got lucky it worked out well. I mean, the thing only weighed like a pound when I lived. It wasn't hard to move around. And I got lucky it worked out well.
Well, get some exercise in while you're in Vegas, lifting the notebook up for your hour seminar. So Spinfluencer put it up. This is my quant, and he tagged you in it. We have Plus EV Analytics with a photo of it as well, occurring simultaneously. It was you in the notebook, and it was also Judah Fortgang giving his seminar on SGPs. We have some other people who talked about it. Jeff Benson himself talked about it, presented without comment. You see Zilbert watching on beside GRP with Fats in the front row. We also have this one from Joey Knish himself saying they somehow found the biggest notebook in Nevada for this, but now we know the full story.
I was going to say, we got the investigative report to get how he got it, so no, I'm happy for that.
Any of you three attend this conference?
I was in Judah's panel at the time, so no, I didn't. I heard a lot about it. Candidly, I want to say there's a lot of people like who aren't here who complain about it. They're like, oh,
Yes.
why would anyone want to pay to see these guys? Like, they're missing like the basics of how the world works and supply and demand and economics, right? Like, I wouldn't drop a few grand to go skydiving. I have zero interest, but there's people who want to go skydiving. If people want to go see a seminar with GRP and Zilbert, let them pay to go see a seminar. Like, I don't understand the problem. Bunch of haters out there, but I wasn't there. Sorry, George. I don't think I'm going to learn much about your NFL futures or anything in there. But yeah,
I was trying to learn about the NFL, so I was either at Judah's or GRP's. I won't say which one.
You weren't at mine. I'll tell you one thing. I mean, that is the smallest of that little size, like of the 2 by. There's ones that are about double that size, like 3 by 3. I'm like, if I lift this thing weighs like 4 pounds, I'm gonna get tired.
yeah, but you had two of you. You could have had Zilbert lift the other side.
Right, you could have. I just got lucky. It was the perfect size. It worked out well. 45 minutes, Zilbert would wrap it up, and I got lucky. It worked out.
Well, it seemed to have been a hit, so we can recognize why something like that would absolutely take place. Knish, any thoughts on stuff like this?
I was able to catch, call it 15 minutes of it. And you know what? Like, I would agree with Rob here, where I saw some of the people on Twitter that were like, there's an entertainment factor. You need some light hardware. A lot of the seminars that are put on here are more either educational, serious, that you need some of this mix to come in there. So I enjoyed it. I'm glad that Jordan Zilber were able to get up there, and I thought it was beneficial to have it as part of you've got to break up some of the drier stuff that, even though it might be more educational than with some of this stuff. So I liked it.
Sorry, Jacob, to cut you off. I wasn't in there, but I did hear, George, that you spoke for about 55 of the 60 minutes.
It was about 45.
Okay.
Well, they have to have, again, the contrast so we can have the very serious educational stuff like this show here.
Of course, it's got to be George. I mean, he's the NFL expert. Zilbert's the MLB expert.
Yeah. Has Zilba, is he still here after this is 5 straight?
He said he's out of his comfort zone. He's having a little bad run here.
This will be like the COVID MLB season. These games will be deleted because he wasn't at home handicapping them.
He was out of town.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll stick to the topic as we go to the chopping block. This is, someone in particular, it's actually their favorite part of the show, the chopping block segment. We've got quite a few things lined up for the chopping block segment. You can see the graphic on screen in all of its glory. First of all, again, GRP features a dinner with Jeff Benson, who got his biggest Bet Bash meeting out of the way first. Notable topics to cover: tout service, the Circa Survivor entry, and the twin Star Wars bed, the Pinocchio poster. Is that in the hotel room?
No, the Pinocchio poster was in my
It's on your
mom's extra bedroom.
Oh,
back
okay.
in Chicago.
It's where George laid out all his clothes on the bed. And,
I have no idea where the Pinocchio poster ever really came from, but everyone makes a big deal about it. It's where the grandkids sleep.
And then the potential awkward credit card roulette that could have taken place. You also posted, George, a photo from the dinner, but no awkward credit card roulette at all. George picked up the tabs. Just at dinner with Jeff Benson. The steak was great. And yes, I treated Jeff to dinner. Jeff said George was gelling, picked up the tab. Meal was incredible, and the conversation was riveting. A terrific start to my Bet Bash week. Is this the most important interview you guys think Jeff Benson had all week?
I mean,
what was the line on George to pick up the tab? I mean, that is.
Jeff. He knew that. I invited him. I said a week before, I sent him a DM. Jeff, want to take out for dinner? Let's pick the first night and let's do it right.
I love it.
Is that true, Jeff?
Yes.
Look at that. Look at that.
with that said, I wouldn't have taken 5-1 on George to pick up the tab.
It only cost north of 400. Let's leave it. Well, you see that right there with
Yeah,
the
there you
tip. It was, but the steak was good, right, Jeff? Great steak.
Fantastic.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Happy to see the lighthearted content like that. But it's not all lighthearted on Twitter and in the content space. We had Prop Dude at Prop Dude 7 said, not much good betting content out there as of late. The recent episodes of this pod have been solid. Anyone looking to kill time, learn a little. This is the Risk Takers pod. And the shipper had something to say. He said, Risk Takers pod used to be pure ass and now is good. Circles Off channel used to be good and now is pure ass.
Amen.
And, we got alerted by Kirk Evans with the hashtag circle back. Knish, anything to say about shipper on this one?
I mean, I don't know where the ship is this week. I thought he'd be in. I don't know. He's supposed to be here, but didn't want to
Can't
show.
take the heat, maybe?
No, he didn't want the heat in the kitchen. Listen, I think I know he's part of that niche that really liked the Circles Off brand of content, and that there's only so many really good betting interviews you can do, and I think you hit so many early on the first couple years. That you're at some point you run out of great. It's not like it's the MLB where you can interview 10,000
daily
players
picks or whatever.
Right.
It writes itself. I will say, listen, there is maybe the pendulum has swung too far on Circles Off, right? At the end of the day, when I'm creating content, I want to create content that I enjoy doing. I love doing this show. Sometimes doing the interviews, setting them up, preparing for that can feel like pulling teeth, but lining up guests. I don't have Johnny on the show anymore. Johnny's in the room here. That alleviated a lot of things for me. Not blaming you, by the way, but I'm not. But it's just a different feel now, right? But Flups mentioned this to me before off air and saying we should get back to doing some more educational stuff, and we will do that.
I promise we are trying to set it up. We keep saying it.
But with regards to shipper, I personally, this may say a lot about me, but when someone comes in and says here's how you got to do your thing, and they're very abrasive about it, and they're the authority on content creation, my instinct is to do the exact opposite. So I'll probably hold off on doing interviews for another 2 months now, just because Shipper's been tweeting about it nonstop.
Shipper comes from a good place. He's kind of a dick on Twitter, but he's much nicer when you talk to him on the side. And I think he had some truth here, and I really love the show, and I'm hoping we will come back and do some more sharper things. Even though Circleback does have some sharp takes.
Some. Yeah, it depends on
who do they come from?
Not me, that's for sure.
I'd say probably Kirk, mostly. Definitely not Jason when he's going in.
But I mean, I generally agree just in where the that you'd like to have more of a blend that we have now.
Yeah,
but
a more healthy balance,
Yes.
which we'll return to at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, Knish says I don't do my job. I do host, production, creation. I'm also a contractor on site.
Well, I
building
mean, you
out
only
the
work
studios,
3
trying
months
to
out of the
make
year,
it-
so
Yeah,
I can expect
exactly.
you to be working that much when you're doing
Well,
it.
it gets cold. You can't do construction in the winter in Canada. What are you talking about, man? Next topic here, also from Bet Bash, we have ScooterGate. Elf posted a video of Man of the Library. He said, "Holy shit, things are getting heated in the poker room. Man of the Library just stole real Fats' scooter. Fats currently has no idea who took it. Quick hit and run from Library." Now, right after this happened, Fats called the cops. And Rob, what is it that he said to describe the situation to the police?
Yeah, I walked by Fats and he filled me in on the situation. I'm like, what is the crime here? And I shit you not, he said, grand theft scooter. And I didn't know if he was joking, but then he filled out paperwork for like 3 hours in the poker room. Security was there. Everything was this big ordeal. Like, listen, normally I'm very pro prank. Like I have a sense of humor. If you told me someone swiped someone else's scooter as a gag at a gambling conference and took it for a boot, I'd probably laugh. But I hate this guy Library so much that I was egging Fats on. I'm like, press charges, like you do whatever you can. Like, and honestly, it's one thing if like it's your buddy. You know, if you're Fats' buddy and you play a little,
Yes,
these guys
yes.
don't like each other,
Right.
Like it's too much. So and also like this whole thing, like the whole Elf Library stuff, it seems so scripted too. Where like Elf just happened to be there right at the exact time that this was going
then
down.
egging on Fats, like, oh, where'd your scooter go?
Yes.
What do you think, Flub? Is this playful, like shoving over someone's chips in the poker room? Is it
Yeah,
fit
right.
that?
That
Oh,
apparently.
by the way, is Mr. Peanut Butter here? Mr. Peanut Butter came in last night into the poker room, knocked over Fluff's chips, and Fluff wasn't very happy about it.
That is not true.
No.
I was laughing. I thought it was funny because it is funny. It
just
builds
playful,
camaraderie.
you know?
For context, Fluff thinks it's okay to knock over people's chips at the poker table. It's just all fun and games. But when it happened to him, he wasn't happy. Then he realized he wasn't happy. He put on yeah, very funny. Yeah.
pressing charges himself.
I did not press charges. I'm not as extreme as Fats is.
I mean, I can not love the people that involved in making this video, but it's an objectively fucking hilarious
Yes,
video.
that is true.
I
It's
agree.
on the script.
Unfortunately,
It's true.
I have to.
Yes,
I have to
yes.
agree with you. But also, it's very funny that he pressed charges, and I think that adds to it.
It's
I mean-
also Library. I think he a little bit of a rap, like a little bit of a rap sheet. If he, it could be trouble for him if he actually gets through and wants to like push. I mean, after seeing what I've seen from Fats on Twitter the last few months, I wouldn't put anything past him taking this to like the furthest extent.
I can't confirm, but I have heard he will no longer be pressing charges if Medlife pays off some of his debts in the space.
Okay, that's the
so
new-
I find
okay,
that to
well,
be
then-
Fats
a
took
little
down
unlikely.
McDonald's, so shouldn't he be able to take down Man in the
Then-
Library?
Well, I don't know. He's a big deal, as we know. We'll go to the next topic here. We have a little bit of DubClub, an anti-tout month celebrated by all at China Maniac, who's sitting front row here as well. DubClub may be going a little bit at their own. Why you shouldn't start selling sports picks unless you've got the edge to win long term. And then there was a long thread about winning long term, selling the picks on DubClub, which is a very strange situation that takes place when oftentimes they turn the blind eye on a lot of people who sell losing picks and are making a lot of money and boasting their DubClub earnings rather than their actual betting earnings. Knish, when you saw something like this, how did it make you feel?
I mean, I already used the stupid fucking real estate analogy here, but I mean, this is the set where like somewhat like you're having a platform that monetizes losing picks and then going out and telling people you shouldn't start selling picks unless you have an edge. It's all part of the, we'll call it the grift of what they're kind of pontificating here to get away with. So am I surprised to see it? No, I'm not. But at some point, you know, when Rob and I have talked about this in the past, like you can only do so much from, and I know Spin, tries his best. You can only do so much from like a educating the public perspective. But I'd seen now where like we've talked about this on a few shows. Some of these DubClub people have like 150K followers, 200K followers. It's like, if that's what people are going to continually gravitate towards, is there much you can really do from the extra? And so my answer is probably no.
Yeah, there's not much you can do, but I also want to shout out Spinfluencer for being kind of the aggregator for this side of gambling Twitter. I try not to follow a lot of that side. It clutters my feed, but he gets the best parts, so it's nice to see that here. Made me laugh. I was like, this has to be photoshopped, and then it's real.
Do you think there's they're legitimately the DubClub are they have this much of a mass because there's multiple people out there, many of them with hundreds of thousands of followers. I mean, I don't. It's hard to really know how much is real with all the the screenshots and the the Photoshop stuff that they're pleased do. But it's insane to me that they have so many people that have garnered such a mass following.
Yeah, sadly, I do think it's actually real. I mean, it's you look at the engagement numbers on a lot of the tweets that these guys are posting, they're generating real quality engagement. It's not fake. So I do think the followings are real. I mean, this stuff happens in the space all the time. It's like the casino that's like, oh, you got to gamble responsibly and then you lose all your money. It's like, here's your redeposit bonus. It happens in the space all the time. But yeah, it's kind of pathetic, honestly. If they genuinely believe that 90% of people wouldn't sell, they wouldn't be trying to actively onboard every single person in the gambling space through Twitter DMs, right? And this is obviously a thread too that wasn't just created by the social media guy. This is handed down from the top, basically. So I've said my piece on DubClub in the past before. It's pretty awful.
I don't hold out hope here, but at the very least, there is now an attempt on the platform, or at least representing the platform, to want to reflect their company in this direction. I don't think it's going to continue in this direction. I don't think they're going to continue with this, but maybe this is just the seed to get it started. We'll have to monitor it and keep you updated on the show as well. Next one here from Sam Hoppen, who quote tweeted something from Scott Hanson, host of NFL RedZone, the incredibly popular show for the NFL. He said, would I do a college RedZone? You betcha. And Sam Hoppen said, not sure if this is a controversial take, but the NFL is the perfect product for RedZone, and we should stop trying to recreate it for other sports. It has the ideal number of games, enough breaks in the action for switching between games, and rare enough scoring events. Now, you three were all very excited to talk about this. Let's go to you first of all, Rob. Are you somebody who does use RedZone for their NFL watching experience on a Sunday?
Yeah, so I love RedZone. I have forever. This stems back from when I used to work at the Score in the early 2010s, and we used to have programs like Court Surfing, which was like an NBA jumping type of thing. I love RedZone. I think it's really well done. People give Scott Hanson a lot of shit all the time, but to do that job, it's incredibly challenging to do that job in real time with so much going on. I don't agree with Sam here. I actually think a lot of sports could benefit from a RedZone type of program. I just don't think it's ever been tried or done in the right way. Most of the time when this is done, I remember this happened in the NHL years ago, but you should be jumping the teams when they're on the power play. You don't need to wait till a commercial break you could go all over. You can do multi-screen types of stuff. I agree that the NFL's setup is most conducive to doing something like this, but I actually think it would work for other sports if done properly.
I disagree. I agree with Sam here. NFL is the perfect product for it. Can maybe work in some college football Saturdays, but there's too many games. But I don't see how hockey, the power play, maybe, but that's it. What are we going to do for MLB and NBA? There's not enough action that's high leverage there.
The thing is, though, RedZone doesn't show everything in real time. Oftentimes, you'll get a play that happened 6 minutes ago. Yep. It doesn't have to be real in time. It just has to feel real time. And I think that's what the RedZone experience does really well.
I think the one ESPN they've tried it, so it was such a miserable failure that nobody even knows there was an ESPN goal line. If you're a diehard college football guy, where they tried something like that, a couple of things were, as you said, there's too many games. ESPN then only has the broadcast rights to show clips from their games.
Yeah.
So if you've got college football games on CBS, on Fox, you're not going to be able to show the RedZone clips then. And if you're really wanting to do, whatever the, a noon slate or a 3:30 slate,
yeah,
you're talking about are you going to then go to are you going into the MAC? Are you going to the Mountain West? And the production quality of the ESPN's it just hasn't been very good.
But that's my point. I don't think the concept is the problem. I think the execution is the problem. But I love RedZone, so I'm kind of biased because I would like to see that for other sports. I know soccer did it for Champions League, like the Zone.
They do it for Premier League.
Yeah, as
currently.
well. And I kind of
they
like
have Match Day Live. The issue with how they do it for Match Day Live for Premier League is they have a marquee game that they'll show. They'll have all the scores on the bottom, and then they'll have the standings on the right. So they'll have the marquee game, and every time there's a goal, another game, they'll switch to it, which is great. The issue with it is if the marquee game turned into a bit of a dud. Now, for a sports betting conference, it's never quite over because there's always bets that could happen and take place. But from like a casual viewing perspective, if it's 4-0 in the 80th minute of a game and it's 1-1 another game of pretty much equal importance, they should flip to that and focus on that game. So nothing is quite as good as RedZone.
I don't think other sports are as conducive to switching over between action as football. Like it doesn't like you.
Well, football has lots of breaks. In play.
Yes.
Soccer's just a continuous clock. I mean, technically there's breaks for corner kicks and stuff, but yeah, I agree with that. Football is the best sport for this by a mile, but I still think that it could be executed better from some other leagues.
I think so too. Maybe not for like Flip said, like NBA. I can't really see how that would work effectively, or MLB. But soccer, I think, does it okay. It stands to be improved, but RedZone is the perfect thing.
You enjoy watching like the last 2 minutes of an NBA game that take 24 minutes of real time. You're telling me you can't jump around from game to game when that's happening?
That's true. When you get to that stage of the game, you can. So maybe they would stand to stagger start times.
You
which
cut
they
in
just never seem
every
to
now
do.
and then when there's like a really nice dunk or some like big run by one team. Anyways, yeah.
Well, we'll see if anybody does follow. It would be a tough act to follow 100%. I think this might be the second last one. We're getting towards the end here. We have Joey Knish himself with a tweet here, at Joey Knish. He says, I don't give a fuck how boomer this take is, but it used to be really nice to just flip on an MLS game, a NASCAR race, an EPL soccer game, or any other niche sport on cable without having to play the wood streaming is this on lottery. Never forget what they took from us. Why don't you elaborate for us here?
I mean, listen. When Joey K's, he's got the monitor up, he's in the lab cooking up stuff. I got the one. I just want to be able to take my remote and flip fucking channels between games, between sports and all that. Now you've got 6 different streamings. I don't give a fuck how much cable cost me if it still had all the fucking thing. Now it's like 6 different streaming services. I used to legitimately watch NASCAR, mostly because I bet now, but NASCAR every week. MLS to torture myself all the time. I haven't. The first year,
it's getting better.
For first year, MLS went to Apple Plus. I bought it, and then at the end of the season, I was like, I watched like fucking 4 games. Like, why do I even have this? And canceled it. And so I don't find myself. If it's college football where I'm a diehard, I'll go find. I'll go watch on ESPN Plus. I'll go watch it on wherever. If it's a sport that I'm more of a casual fan, or it's like if I just wanted to flip on a game that I had a bet on the sweat, and it's like, am I gonna turn on like Paramount and put it on another screen to it? I think we really fucked up in this country, taking away what used to be a good thing. And it's like toothpaste out of the tube. I don't think it'll ever be back to all in one location.
Well, when it first started, the streaming, it was. I mean, I can't speak for the USA, but in Canada, I remember DAZN came out, had all NFL games. Like, great, now I get every NFL game. I can flip through them. They also had Premier League, also had Champions League. So everything I want to watch is all here. And then this happened with movies, TV shows. Like Netflix had it all. Then more people start dipping, reaching their hands in and grabbing all this. Now it's become a problem. I wonder if it will kind of cycle the other way. But yeah, go ahead.
I don't think this is a boomer take. I think the vast majority of people would agree with this. I think what the streaming has done has killed like casual fandom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I used to have such a deep knowledge of every sport because I would just flip through channels.
Yep.
I can't name you a single NASCAR driver right now. I used to watch like 3 or 4 races just because it happened to be on at some point or another. And now that's killed it for me. So I'm less of a sports fan because of the streaming services. Like I'm not gonna go jumping through different fucking logins to find an event I don't even care about.
Yep.
Like it's not gonna happen.
And what do you think long term? I mean, this is Pandora's box, but like long term, what that does to the sport. I understand if you're NASCAR, if you're MLS, and you don't have the same NFL network contracts and stuff. You have to take some of the streaming money that's out there when you've got Bezos and Apple and everybody trying to start up their own streaming. But long term, it's like, how many casuals?
It kills niche sports.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's just strange because NASCAR is on a downward trend for viewership right now. Like NFL is one thing because everyone wants to watch the NFL. That's so popular. But for a sport going in the direction of NASCAR, it is strange to take away the casual viewership, which would garner interest.
Yeah.
Well, guys like Jacob want to see niche sports like darts grow,
Well,
and it's
I'll
never
pay.
gonna
I
happen.
pay for my subscription, so I'm good. I get to cover that. How about you? Any thoughts on this one, Flip?
Rare Joey KW.
Not a boomer take.
Not at all. I completely agree.
All right. Okay. This might be the second last one here. We have Cole here who put a video of the 13-year-old aspiring umpire Bradley is doing a great job out there at the Cubs-Cardinals game. So if I don't have the video up here, but it's a photo. He is standing in the middle of the staircase in the crowd, mimicking the same calls as the umpire in full umpire gear. Now, for a lot of people, maybe just looking like, oh, it's a fun little video of a kid pretending to be an umpire. But Cole here, I think, kind of gives a sentiment that I think a lot of us may resonate with. This kid is a nuisance to everyone in his section, and everyone knows it. His parents are oblivious. Now, I know a lot of people who go to baseball just to hang out with friends, have drinks, see something like this. I go to baseball to watch baseball, so I would agree with something like this. We'll go to you, Flip, on this one to start. What do you think on this? Are we too angry?
I could see you at
Flup
13
looks like
doing
a guy
yeah,
that
I was
did
gonna
this
say,
before.
This seems like Flup's going to be like, oh, this kid's off on the right foot in life.
Absolutely not. The parents are the problem here, not the kid. The parents are to blame. What are they thinking? I mean, why are they trying to make the kid the star of the show? This is ridiculous. I mean, you come to baseball to watch baseball, not some stupid kid and an umpire.
This in 6 years.
The parents are to blame. He calls the kid stupid within the first 5 seconds. This stupid
This
kid.
family's going to be on Dr. Phil. The kid's going to be like cracked out because he's been bullied throughout high school for all this. Like you are setting your son up for failure if you're putting him in this position, especially like right before he goes into high school and he's when you're like this age, who the fuck dreams of growing up to be an umpire or like a referee?
Oh, that's the classic. Like you're playing pickup with your friends, and that one guy's like, "I'll ref." That's the worst fucking person in any pickup set.
And that's right. And that's the guys that turn. That's why everybody in. So
If he goes to school in the uniform.
I hope not for his sake. I hope not for his family's sake.
Maybe this is a deeper play, like be an umpire and then with sports books being out, rig the game.
Yeah, start calling first pitch ball or something like that.
Father's definitely a degenerate better. Setting him up for 20 years from now to get all his money back.
Okay, this is the last one. This comes from abnormally distributed. After multiple losing months, Crackman posted clarification that a 5% play is actually 2.5%. And then it's a screenshot, play rating, percentage of bankroll, rating, percentage of bankroll. And it is a showcase that each of the percentages initially referenced equals half of what it was initially referenced as. How do you feel about something like this, Rob?
Well, you simply can't do this. I mean, I don't know if this was like something that if you subscribe to like Crack's package or something, like you get something beforehand that tells you this play is equal to that, and he's just clarifying now. I don't know if that's the case. It seems like horrible timing to go on a really bad streak and then tell people, well, you actually only really should have lost half of what I recommended here because these are the percentages. If this is happening after the fact, it's awful. So, I'm not a big fan. The optics do not look good.
It's interesting that I'm gonna keep digging in this this hole here. That Crack is not. So it seems like there's a group of people that have decided to maybe we'll call it do their own thing or fight back against. I'd love to maybe even get. Maybe in another episode, a little deeper dive when we have some more of what's actually happening here. But you don't see Crack walking around here.
He was here the first day.
Okay.
You just came in a day late.
Okay, maybe I'm a day late. So I would have liked to have, heard a little bit, maybe some.
I agree.
Some justification here on this.
The definition needs to be clear on day one.
Yes.
It's not after you go through a prolonged losing stretch and then you post this out, because at that point everyone's bet what you've already 5% play. People think they're betting 5% of their bankroll.
That's ludicrous. Why would you think something like that?
I know exactly.
But there's also abnormally Dis is really doing the Lord's work on this, but where him and Fez were basically releasing like 60% of the same plays
Yeah, I saw
that are coming out.
There's a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
I'd like to compare that to Hitman's plays as well.
Yeah. So I mean that to me is like it's a very we don't have to go all the way into the wager talk depth here, but it's like
that's another 1 hour show.
Well, I was gonna say it's like we've got one play we're gonna give out, and then we're just gonna have like 4 of our people who are selling to different crowds all give it out.
Last word from you, Flip. End us off.
I just can't believe this is real. Why would you say 5? Who would think 5% equals 2.5%? Like, how stupid are your users? Like, well, what the heck?
All right, great way to finish it off for today. This has been Circle Back. There on the left, Rob Pizzola, at Rob Pizzola on Twitter. Over here, we have Flup at Chris Deerkiss. That's not his name. You know, when somebody says Chris, I go, who are you talking about?
Who the hell is Chris?
Chris Deerkiss at Flup No Lied on Twitter. And we have Joey Knish at Joey Knish22. I'm Jacob at Jacob_Garmenia on Twitter. As Jeff Benson said, no fights this year at Bet Bash, but perhaps there will be some once we finish off this show and word starts to get around perhaps of what was said. Thank you again, everybody.
And thank
for
you to
taking part.
Kalshi. We love Kalshi.